Here we go. One more. All right. Welcome everybody on the live and the replay. We got this beautiful divine couple in the house again. Carlotta and Steve from Kauai. I'm jealous. I'm going to let people have a little time to come in. We're not getting our notifications aren't going out, and who cares? They'll join us in divine timing. We'll be right back in a minute and 20 seconds. What's going on, everybody? I'm having a bad hair day. I tried twice. I can't get it to go right. So, so what's happening on the front line of the apocalypse in December in Kauai, Hawaii? Man, I mean, not just there, but everywhere. We were just talking before the show that there's been a lot of me time, a lot of solitude, a lot of downloads, a lot of clearing. I mean, this is like what a way for 2020. I wouldn't expect 2020 to end any different. You know, I don't even know how people can be looking at 2021 at this point. We still got 17 days. How's it been going for y'all?
I think kind of like you were mentioning, definitely the past couple of weeks have been a heavy integration period. So it kind of feels like it's in a way slowed down a bit with the actual movement of everything work-wise or community-wise. And like you said, just it seems like everyone's kind of pulling in and just downloading and integrating and shedding what no longer serves.
Yeah.
So, other than that, it's been great, though. It feels like
right.
Just this morning, it just feels like it's kind of opened up after the eclipses, kind of passed through. So it feels like we're getting a nice shift today.
Yeah, it does seem different today. Mm-hmm. It was like I was telling you, it was raining and snowing over here yesterday. And
right.
It just seemed weird. It just seemed like strange. And then today, the sun's coming out and it's drying up. And I don't know. There's so much on the table. And one of the things I've been noticing, because I try to keep a tab on everything that I can just for information and code, but I've noticed that there's been quite a bit of soft disclosure in regard to UFOs, these monoliths. I think I saw a picture yesterday. There must have been 12. So right. They're popping up everywhere. I saw the what was it? The Israeli UFO guy or space guy he's like 83, who's running that thing for like 30 years. He came out and said that we've been talking to ETs, but that they don't want us to disclose it because the Earth's not ready for it. I mean, I don't know. It's just, and it's so not difficult, but it requires more discernment to try to figure out what's actually happening. But then again, I guess the whole point is all that stuff's a distraction for what you need to be doing.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did see the same news articles, and it seems like it's popping up on some pretty major news sources. So it's very interesting to see that. And it's really cool that I saw in there that he had mentioned the Galactic Federation, which I thought was massive. And it was super cool because I actually gifted my buddy one of Dolores Cannon's books. And it totally was a huge click for him, because he's like, dude, that's in Dolores's book. Like, holy moly. Like, you know, it's super sweet to see people making those connections. And I mean, 2020, it can literally roll out anything. I mean, that's amazing that that's coming out. So I'm super grateful for that. But just making people aware that that is there, and that we do need to make the proper changes in order to align with, you know, something like that actually coming forth and trying to join with us and
assist us.
Right.
Yeah, just do it. Here's a really good comment from my sister, Jin Reynolds. So from my personal perspective, they're not from higher dimensional beings. I think she's talking about the monoliths. Higher dimensional beings don't play games. So I'm watching this stuff because I check mainstream media not to see what's going on, but to try to figure out what the agenda is and what they're not saying. So if you look at like that article about the guy in Israel, and most of the narratives that are out there in regard to, let's just say, the controllers, the powerless powers that be, a lot of that stuff goes through Israel. And so it's almost like, to me, there's a parallel running here. Is there going to be a Project Blue Beam? Is there going to be a fake ET invasion? While at the same time, the communication and communion, visitation, and so on, that's actually occurring with people on an individual level is increasing as well.
I think what's really important during this absorbing time and these soft disclosures is to really have a solid, secure interconnection, a solid, secure practice, a self-care practice, to really start to attune to your internal navigation system and fortify that, so that when the outer world gives a possible mass reflection, like you're saying, or a mass program or a mass event, that our discernment is crystal clear.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's so important for us. And we've seen this year dissolve timelines, dissolve so many false, false programming and false storylines out there. A lot coming out of the woodwork, a lot being healed, a lot being offered up to being healed on a collective and personal level. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot to be said for having that, that internal navigation really anchored in. And thankfully Morgan and you guys have really offered up a huge community that facilitates these things so that we can really have our own bearings. Yeah, well,
I hope we can make it bigger soon. I'm trying not to get impatient or anything, but I can feel the need. I mean, you really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, that's why if I saw a bunch of spaceships land tomorrow, I would be less inclined to believe it in terms of who is it and what is it, because there's a part of me that tells me that our star family isn't going to do it for us. They're not going to intercede to that level, because that would kind of take away from the whole trip of self-empowerment and of self-realization. So I don't know. At the same time, I also feel like that what you're saying is absolutely true, and that the more that we do this on an individual level, the more accurate the experience is going to be in terms of what's being put out there to the collective. And I don't mean by the mainstream media or anyone that might think they're in control. What I mean is that the more truth that we find in ourselves, the more truth that is going to come to the surface in our collective experience.
Yeah, and it's like even Sandra was sharing it. When you have that anchored in, then your discernment is clear, and you'll either vibrationally match it or not. It'll, whatever's showing through, like we look at the sky, we gaze at the sky at night a lot, and there's a lot of things happening in the sky at night. And, we realize that a lot of it other people aren't witnessing, and it's simply because we've aligned to that level of recognition. And that happens inwardly as well. So again, our assistance from those galactic families, I believe, is majorly coming from an internal process.
Absolutely. Yeah. We watched Interstellar for the third or fourth time last night.
Favorite movie.
Yeah, right. Like she's like, we watched like 10 movies this weekend. It's like the last one. She's like, "Do you want to watch that movie? Interstellar." And I was like, "Yeah." And then, but and I'd seen it before, obviously. But when he's in that, what is that called? The terrorist sect at where he's looking through, and he says to the robot who's in the wormhole, he says, it's us, then
Right.
the they is not something foreign or outside of ourselves. It's actually us. One of the attributes of these couplings, these divine couplings, be they romantic or not, is the obviously the fast track mirror mechanism that's built into it. But also the other side of it too, which is somewhat of an advantage. I mean, it's a duplication, not a duplication, or really a multiplication of the individual's path in this transition we call ascension. But in particular, these last few weeks, last couple of months, I've noticed, in our relationship and also in observing people out there in the field and in the community, there's been a lot of dynamics introduced into these relationships. How have things gone for y'all over the last couple of months? Have there been any adjustments, involvements, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say, and I think I've heard this from others, is probably earlier this year, it seemed like we were on, pretty good cruise control. Everything was pretty smooth, and then just these past couple of months, it's been like it just turned up the potency again, and it just put you through the ringer, and it's just like, okay, we're going to clear out whatever else hasn't left, and it kind of gave us a breather, for a little while, but, it just makes sense. We're coming up on, the big solstice event, and, we're within a week right now, and whatever needs to go has to go. Otherwise, you're not going to make the jump to the higher octave, purely. You're just not going to match with it.
Yeah. Have y'all had to spend any time in solitude, like apart from each other?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it got pretty intense a couple times, and yeah, we do respect that. When that happens, it's just we need to be able to pull away and be okay with that, and however long the individual needs to be able to digest whatever their process is and to clear whatever needs to be cleared and realigned.
Yeah.
We've definitely had to work to get to that point without having to get upset because the other person needs to pull away or anything like that. But it could be very intense. So, we need to respect that and be able to do that for each other.
Right on.
And I feel like there's a deeper trust in the process each time we ebb and flow in that way. And for those reasons, there becomes a fortification in that process. There becomes a solidifying of what we are, what we're doing, what we're meant to be doing here, what we've been shown, and it's a huge confirmation, and it really deepens the bonds, and allows us to have literally absolute trust, and therefore there's no worry. There's simply an understanding that I may not in my 3D perspective like or know what's happening, but we trust that the bigger picture is always being served, and that the union, being more of a trinitized energy now, being more of a point of holding that frequency. So it's really brought us out of the he and she, and more out of even like a twin flame perspective. And it's like really allowing us to realize that this Christed consciousness is expanding into a whole nother shape and form, and to really to celebrate that, and to celebrate the individual's bloom, because it's putting into that, it's creating the new shape by allowing us to process and develop with grace. And what I've noticed most of all is the timelines dissolving, when we ebb and flow and we come when we come to those points, it's not the intense triggering anymore. It's more of the self-recognition of, oh, okay, this is something I am alchemizing at the moment.
Yeah.
And to allow each other that process.
Right, and it's about jumping off the loops that you're caught in too, and recognizing those. Not getting caught and doing the same thing over and over again, and being able to catch yourself once you recognize that you've been triggered, and to take a deep breath, not instantly react. And that's where the no time comes in, where you literally will make that shift or drop that timeline as soon as you make the correct choice, essentially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's where it plays in, where you are literally seeing a reflection of you in your world. So when you talk about, meeting, extraterrestrials, or what you're seeing outside of you, that depends on how much work you've done within, and what is presenting itself to you and what you're matching to.
Yeah, true that. And, for me, I think it started about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and it's continuing to accelerate, is what I could only describe as memories. I know it's code, but there's a lot of stuff coming in very rapidly in regard to the Starseed mission, in regard to relevant memories from past lives, or primarily galactic incarnations that just are coming in at warp speed. And I haven't even really talked too much about it with Morgan. We talk all the time, and the reason is because I can't even put it together. I can put together like big pieces of it or connect big dots, but all the stuff in all the intricacies, in the middle, all the specificities and all the, certain events or whatever the particular memories are, I don't even know where to start. I don't know. Can y'all relate to that? Are you getting hit with that type of thing?
Absolutely. I would say that the best way that I've learned how to kind of deal with that is just pretty much just be in full trust, and know that you're being downloaded essentially a toolbox, and when the right moment comes to use the correct tool, you'll know it.
Yeah.
And not to get overwhelmed with all that information coming in, thinking that you have to organize it or you have to know what to do with it at this time. It's just like, let it be, let it download, and let it assimilate as you move through your day, and stay in the present moment. Because if you're not in the present moment, you're not going to know that you need to use that tool or what to do with it if you're not in alignment. So just
that's true.
Don't try and take everything at once. Just take it one step at a time, one moment at a time.
A lot of this is happening in our dream space as well, because it's easier to receive and subconsciously be downloaded in that way. And my dreams have been crazy. Like I went from, earlier in the year not really having quite as much activity during the dream state, and to it's been beyond bizarre. And again, it's that full trust and closing timelines down, and not just in this 3D realm, but kind of like creating the bridge, that cohesion of collapsing all that is out of accordance, I believe, is from what I'm being shown in my dreams. The multidimensional aspect of it. And then, like he said, just realizing we have what we need, our complete selves, higher selves, oversoul, however you want to call it, is fully equipping us at this point for this part of the journey, with everything that we need. And we just have to trust that.
Yeah. Does it feel like your higher self is merging with your human self?
24/7. That's what this whole year has been solidifying, more so than ever before.
Yeah.
And that's the whole goal of this. Basically, is again clearing all the old programs, beliefs, whatever it is within your being that is in the way of downloading your full, expanded self. So when you do that, when you step out of the way and you clear that which doesn't serve anymore, you're allowing that to integrate properly. And then you won't have to worry about what's, being shown to you on the TV or what you're hearing. You will just know truth. It will just resonate with you because you are living truth. You are living in alignment.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with lifestyle, right? A lot of that has to do with self-care. That's why our business is called the Light Body Lifestyle. It's because it's about impeccable alignment, impeccable self-care, like being able to recognize what we know we need to do, but just haven't been disciplined enough to do, or to let go of those, box of cookies or whatever that's not allowing us to be in our prime state, because that prime state is what will allow all of this transition and to transcend to happen. We have to have an understanding of this vehicle, this avatar being a masterpiece. And it's like you were saying with the car. Remember when you were talking about, some of us, do you want to repeat that in the way? About, we don't want to be we've all been given this amazing avatar, but if we've just been 16 years old and just got our driver's license, you don't want to give a 16-year-old a Lamborghini, right? So we have to acclimate and really learn how to respect it and earn that ability to access the things that we're accessing at this point at the end of 2020, and to be able to have the clarity to understand what it actually is and provide the win-win for ourselves and the community.
Yeah. I think the presence in the present moment too seems to be, it just seems to be getting more and more real. Whether we make a conscious effort to do it, and I have to say, even if we don't, it seems like we're being forced to be present in a good way. If I look at some of the narratives, especially with everything that's happened this year with COVID and quarantines, and then of course this election and all the different narratives out there, from we're going to have a blackout to, China's taking over the U.S. or whatever all these different things are. It's almost like, the way I see it is, no matter what happens, we know where we need to put our focus and our energy. And like you said earlier, if we do that, and if we can stay in alignment with ourselves, and if we're fortunate enough to be to have a connection, like I said, whether it's romantic or not, and have a divine union frequency that creates that Trinity in the flesh, that's going to have an impact, an absolute influence on what actually materializes in the physical experience that we all share. I mean, this is all about the truth coming to the surface. And I guess what I'm saying is that level of truth is predicated by the truth we find in ourselves.
Bingo. Absolutely. And that whole thing about, we've been stripped away of our comforts this year. We've been stripped away of so much of our automatic pilot, which is why it's feeling so raw and why it's feeling so thin now. And that's why the now moment is all we have. It's the active energy, right? It's the energy in motion in the now. And if we are in our minds thinking about what coulda, shoulda, woulda, or what if, we're not fully anchored into the now. And there is nothing like being fully anchored into this now moment, fully trusting, heart wide open, and in complete receptivity to what is here and present. The more we allow ourselves to step into the present, the more presence we experience from Gaia, from the galactics, from all dimensions. We have to have a clean, clear platform to stand, a foundation to stand on. And I think that's what this year has really provided. It feels like we've been put through the ringer. It's only because we've been so far embedded into, the social constructs. Now that we've been able to shed some of that, as uncomfortable as it may have felt, it's bringing us back into our authenticity. It's giving us a window into what our hearts truly desire and what we're really passionate about and what's really important. Yeah,
that seems to be one of the things that's up is, what do you want? Who do you want to be with? What do you want? Create your fairy tale. I mean, if there is, I told Morgan last night, we were talking about all this. I said, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I meant that not in a bad way. I just meant the potential is limitless in terms of what could unfold, let's just say, in our collective experience. But by the same token, the potential is literally, even though we're in a physical realm, the potential of our capabilities is limitless in terms of what we can do and how fast we can do it.
Well, and only a certain part of our focus, let's call it our divine frequency focus, is in the third realm. So when we start to realize that and trust the other, what I would call majority of our expanded self, we're focused here and we're given this avatar for a reason, but that's not our totality. And so when we really grasp that, then we understand that it is so important for us to own our own energy and to cultivate it and to be intentional with it. And that's why your heart's desire, what you're passionate about, is the key. And what you can love is the key. If you can find that place where whatever it is that your intention is set on doing is giving you a sense of thriving and vitality, that is the key to whatever you're designed to be giving to the world and sharing. It is a essential part of your reason why your soul is participating on the third level in this moment, right? And so I really feel like that's huge. Like you have to get anchored into your heart's, truth. And that takes a lot of shedding of, being worried about being accepted or validated by others. Your authentic self is the only thing that's going to carry you through this.
And deprogramming, if we were talking in terms of, say, intimacy, because there is that's such a core, a core example in the physical of what's happening energetically, but the performance. We could say we use the word performance, let's say in terms of sacred sexuality or intimacy, but the same would go for the other aspects of our lives. Performing is, you got to go do this job because you have this job and you got to go in from 8 to 5, or, you got to buy car insurance, or, there's all these things that are playing out there. And I just feel like we're moving to a point where there's not going to be any choice. There's no in between here anymore. We either, and I love what you said about the 3D, because it is part of it. But is it the way it's been, or what we're going to make it? Are we going to live within the confines of what's been constructed in the 3D, or are we going to, divinely infuse the 3D with our natural nature and as creators made in the image?
Right, definitely. I really like how you were talking about too, and putting out there what you're trying to create new. But I think what's important with that is to really, really sink into flow, total trust and flow, because you want to give a general idea of what you want to happen, but don't make that a finite list of what has to happen. You're stepping in the way of your expanded self, lining things up that you never could have imagined, could happen for you. So don't get stuck on the details. Trust. Just again, have a very general, basic plan and keep moving and following the breadcrumbs. Stay in that present moment like we were talking about. But at the same time, too, and being in full flow, there are going to be certain days where you thought you had a show or you had a job to go do, and all of a sudden the flow is not going to be there. You're going to be in your butt, you're going to be downloading, you're going to be healing, or something else is going to happen. And your true power is going to be when you finally let go and you finally don't react to that. You just keep following the breadcrumbs. You just go, okay, nope, that door just closed. I know I've been, focusing on that for the past 2 weeks, and I knew I was going to do that today, but that door's not opening today. This one's opening, so I guess I'm going that way. And as soon as you don't react to that, as soon as you stay in your alignment and you start moving through, you're going to see so much more open for you that you never could have imagined.
And accepting those things too, like I was telling you before the show, we did 86 shows last month. I think 80 were SOULSPEAKS 5D, and probably 6 or 8 were radio shows, with the music and the commentary and the video excerpts. And then I went into this month, and Morgan, in her infinite wisdom, knew not to schedule more than a couple a day. And here we are almost halfway through the month. And probably only done 15 shows. It's our lightest month that I can ever think of. But it's been a combination of people canceling, needing to reschedule. Todd saying, I can't do this. I got to cancel today, which I haven't done a lot, but I did 2 or 3 days this month already. But you're right. It's almost like this morning I woke up. We have a Monday morning show, and there's 4 of us involved. And I woke up this morning thinking 30 minutes before the show, and I thought, I don't know if this is going to go down today. And as soon as I opened my phone up, one of the people said, I can't come on today. I've been down for 3 or 4 days, and I'll let you know when I'm back up. And then I just said, you know what, this isn't. I read the landscape, and the other 2 didn't even push back. They just said, okay, see you next week. But yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence that we are starting to follow the guidance that's being shown to us, really in the physical world. And what's cool about that is it's happening through other people as well.
Yeah, I think it's important, like you were mentioning, to really be honest with ourselves and realize that we don't know what's going to happen next. Mm-hmm. So again, don't get yourself stuck on a narrative or something you read or something that's on TV being shown to you. Mm-hmm. Again, just observe, see what's going on out there so you can properly navigate yourself, but don't get, a cement hold on what, one certain story, because again, the rest of this year, there's not much left, but it's collapsing very quickly.
There's 17 days will be like 17 years.
And this is still 2020. We've already had our minds blown a few times, and I'm sure we'll have it blown a few more times until, before the end of the year. So like I say, just let go and, don't get in your own way.
Yeah, the belief systems too. We had a beautiful brother on this morning I never met before, and he had a great story, and he's very active in his own enterprises. And we were just talking, like, he was saying, I know I got to write a book, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I can totally feel him. I know what he means, but at the same time, you can't get too attached to anything like that as well. We went quite some number of years without a website, without, any of that coming together. Every time we tried to put it together, it just fell apart. Then it came together organically, and we were bouncing around for 8 or 10 weeks and making progress, and a lot of people coming in and wanting to come in and help. But then all of a sudden December came and everybody's went into a hiatus. So as an example, I had to talk to myself consciously and say, okay, don't worry about it. It's like what you were saying earlier, Carlotta, is about just keeping that vision and not getting attached, and therefore resistant to anything but what you thought the way it should be, because it's changing every single day.
Yeah, we have no idea what our grand purpose here, right? Each individual has a very unique gift and something to offer, but we really don't have the full big picture of that. So like Steve was saying, we have to be malleable. We can't be tunnel vision on something. And I again, will say that it's about staying in the moment and acknowledging what is present in the moment, kind of like what's on the table for you to actually chew on and to work with, and to your joy, your happiness, your sense of vitality is the arrow that's telling you where to go, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can just let go of all of those expectations and know we don't have to think about what's in our hearts. We feel what's in our hearts. It's not going to go away. We don't have to remember it. If it's still in your heart, then when the outer world is indicating the coincidences and the things that are aligning up, then that's your, organic moment to act upon that. Mm-hmm. But to get all bent out of shape, or to be in resistance, that means you're not in a state of receptivity and you're not going to flow anywhere, right? And to just have honor for the truth that's in your heart, and to really allow that inspiration to lead you rather than for your mind to, have a big checkbox or checklist of things to do. And I think the human species has gotten way too anchored into their mental realm, and we need to get that heart-mind coherence lined up again and have that be what allows us to move forward with clarity and calm. And I was shown a lot that happened at the end of last year, and I was preparing myself, and then this whole year hit, and it was quite clear. I got direct guidance, that was like, that's not going to happen. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I had no idea. And then this year I've been shown about 2 or 3 processes that have just in my coaching business have been absolutely profoundly spot on for myself and for others. And I'm like, this is all we need to focus on. This is all only bite off what, you're ready to digest. Don't try to, go so far ahead.
Yeah.
And, keep it simple, keep it in your heart center, and keep it in the moment.
Yeah, definitely. We've had, it's been an interesting couple of weeks in December, and we've flowed through it together. We spent 3 or 4 days apart. Morgan went to see a friend. But what's occurred over the last few days has been some pretty powerful activations through sacred sexuality. That I'm not bringing that up because of that subject, but the what that tells me, the alignment of the masculine and feminine energy. And I know this isn't about Todd and Morgan. It's about each one of us individually and what's happening collectively as a result of the individual alignment of divine union, divine marriage, whatever you want to call it. But it's again, these are activations that most of it are not words. I mean, this is an energy that's taking hold, and that Trinity that you mentioned earlier seems to, people talk about the golden child. A lot of people have forecasted it this year to occur on or about this solstice, and it feels very real, and that's to me the most intriguing and interesting part of what is going to happen, regardless of what happens, what it looks like, is that third energy, call it the Holy Spirit, call it the golden child, Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it, that invisible force that's taken a much more active role in our lives and our world. It seems to really be showing itself more and more, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen post solstice, post Christmas, as we go into 2021.
Absolutely. And I think another big thing that's coming to me is the best thing that you can do to empower yourself right now is to get comfortable with change. Be okay with it. Yeah, there's just a constant. It's every moment right now. It's every breath you take. It's every choice you make, every thought you have, it's another stepping point every moment. So if you get comfortable with change and you can relax, it's just going to be that much easier.
Yeah.
And I think that you said it the other day to your mom. And I loved it. It just immediately struck a chord with me. He said, calm is a superpower.
Yeah.
Right. And again, that calm comes with a true calm comes with a sense of actual trust.
Yeah.
And to, again, be in a neutrality, this divine neutrality state allows you to be the most receptive. So, practice the stillness, practice the breath, practice the connection, anchoring it in through the physical. You won't need words, like you were saying before. It's not about the verbal dance anymore. It's about the actualization of the resonance that's being cultivated and blooming right now. Yeah. And the world we need to have that example of the tethered souls, the divine codes coming through and being embodied. That's something we picked up on really early on in the year and was guided to really allow, and obviously being through our vehicles and encouraging others to develop their own expression of that. Yeah. And to bring it forth. And it's our past couple of weeks has been more about the quiet nuances of our acclimation and not not playing into the old storylines, and just kind of having a really comfort zone of, oh, I'm not feeling that trigger anymore, and I'm noticing I'm not responding in that way anymore. My heart's not hurt over things anymore. And my mind's not trying to run with any storylines. It's just it's a beautiful.
It's like the marking the beginning of the end of victimization.
Absolutely.
It doesn't hold. It doesn't hold water anymore. So Jen, this is what I was talking about. She says, we held each other last night for 2 hours, no sex, and I felt like I was him and he was me. Now to take that and put it in everyday life, to know everyone is another me and go on her. And I think that's a great description of the energy that we're talking about. You know, the Trinity energy isn't unique only to a romantic connection. It's any and all connections, really. And I think that's being supported now. And I think people making these types of comments and having these type of experiences is evidence of that.
Yeah, it's not about performance. There's nothing to perform. There's no one to perform for. This is about genuine authenticity. This is about being real and raw in the moment. And what's actually comforting isn't the masculine, feminine mechanisms. It's the cherished sensation and the honoring sensation and just the closeness, the connectedness that goes beyond the physical, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, do you guys, I've heard, you know, one of the things that came into me this weekend, again, I haven't even really, I know I've said quite a few things to Morgan in the last 3 or 4 days, and some of these absolutely dimensional interludes that we've had. I can't even recall all of them, but the gist of it is the sacredness. Like, you know, whatever I can produce here, a lot like Jin's comment, whatever I can be a part of and collaborate and co-create with another here at a sacredness. I mean, if I can't do it here, I can't do it with anybody.
There you go.
Kind of thing. So it's like the importance of that sacredness just got amped up like so much. And I know everyone's different, but like, do you guys, how does that occur for you? How do you, I mean, are you walking through the house and you look at each other and go, oh my God, or do you have a certain ritual or routine where you stare at each other and, or how does that happen for you guys?
Well, it's interesting. Just on my behalf, she hasn't quite experienced this from other partners, but I know what you mean when you said that. I believe it might have been your sister that just held each other for a couple hours the other night. I know what you mean. I've expressed this to her where I'm just like, sometimes just you and I holding and embracing each other is better than sex.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when, certain parts of you aren't used to hearing that because of the 3D programming. You're like, well, we're supposed to be ravaging each other and this and that. And it's like, yeah, that still happens. Sure. We don't have it on a set schedule or anything. I think that's just the same as any other category of our lives where we need to be in complete flow. Like one of us sometimes is ready to go and the other one's like, nope, I'm knocked on my ass and I'm getting downloads. I'm not in that zone right now, And sometimes it's frustrating, but that's just another category that we've learned to kind of harmonize and balance out. And when it's there, it's there. And again, it's not always the same way that we, did it before, and to again, open up your mind and be ready for new ways to stimulate you and be willing to be open and discover new things that are coming. Energetic
intimacy is far beyond the physical. I'm not taking anything away from the physical. We're all in a physical vessel, but this is the new energy of old. And as a result, the old programming and performance and patterns are fading away. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing from Jen's comment and from what you're saying.
Yeah, to be in, again, that present now and to recognize the value and the richness of what is organically showing up.
Yeah.
There's nothing more bountiful than that. And to have no agenda and just to be able to embrace that, again, I think we're anchoring in more of our expanded self. We're allowing, you know, the physical is the only place where we're physical people. Like, you know, we
Right.
may have galactic bodies and beings and versions, which of course I subscribe to, but there is a part of this that is already completely unified. And so, yes, there's beautiful avatars to play with, but again, the more of us, the grander part of what we are is already unified. And so I think what we're feeling and sensing and speaking about is that those aspects becoming more integrated with the avatar we have, and us being able to appreciate that. And again, let go of the programmed need of, I want to, you know, I want to experience this, or if I don't experience this, then that means that. Those are old programs, and they don't serve us.
Well, it's just like you know, whether it's that or say business or any other aspect, I think what you're describing is we're coming into alignment.
Yeah.
And so because it's gained so much traction in the realm, more than it was in the past, you know, like we didn't have that support because the collective consciousness wasn't where it's at today, and where it'll be tomorrow. But, you know, we start to feel alignment, then we think, oh, we got to do something. Well, I think we're all starting to figure out, like you said, it's organic. And whatever it is that we do will be done in the spontaneity and the intuitiveness and the creativity of the moment, right? I know one thing that's happened to me, and this, again, has been an ongoing thing, but it's really been expanded and accelerated over the last few weeks, but certainly this month. And that is this huge expansion of the heart. And so because Morgan is, you know, my physical divine feminine, my partner, I look at her and in fact, it's so powerful, I can't even say anything. I just go, why even try? You know, I might have said a couple of things, but it's come up 1,000 times. You know, I don't know how you feel, Steve. What's it like to you? How do you see Carlotta? Has it changed? Has it been magnified recently?
Yes, that's a good topic to bring up too, because we were just talking about this, I think, a couple weeks ago when she was being asked by one of her friends how I view her, and basically thinking about that, kind of like you said, there's not really words anymore. I'm like, words are just not doing it. It's a feeling we get when we're together. It's a symbiosis that we have when we're together. It's a flow that we have, you know, and it's just, I can sit there and go, well, she's beautiful and she's smart and funny and all these things, but it's like that, it just doesn't have the same meaning behind it. It's just the beingness when you're together. That just enriches one another and just keeps expanding. So I know exactly what you mean.
I thought you were going to say it. I didn't want to ask a leading question, but for me, one thing I can say over the last 2-3 weeks is, yeah, I get what you're saying totally. Absolutely. And as I look at her, it's almost like I'm looking at myself. It is like I'm looking at myself.
You are.
I know. And it's like, wow. And then it's like double wow. And, you know, I mean, this is a person who's brought in some, you know, serious levels of sacred wisdom. And I mean, I've been a part of this for 5 years. And, you know, there's all kinds of examples I could give, but it's like, it's almost like doing a double take when you see something. You know, you look once, I see her, then I look back real quick. Who am I looking at? Is that me? Is that her? The level of exchange of energies, or the mixing, or the oneness, I guess, you know, the feminine and the masculine. I mean, I felt very feminine. I felt very masculine. I look at her. I mean, and it's not even, those terms aren't even doing it justice. It's oneness.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And another topic that I'm keep being shown is, if in a partnership you aren't experiencing what we're talking about, we pulled back probably a little over a year ago. And I basically said, okay, we need to stop the whole romantic 3D idea of everything, because we didn't start off and create a strong foundation and a complete friendship. First and foremost, get that 3D mess out of the way and create your foundation to build off of.
Yeah.
So if you want to have that true, reflection and seeing that in your partner, and to have that, you just can't expect that if you haven't built a proper foundation and you're still running off of the, okay, we need to, do this tonight, or I need to do this in order to perform for my partner, or anything like that. Or that crazy old dance just doesn't work.
No.
I've noticed that this year has been a series of situations that have come forth that allow us to actually demonstrate the friendship, to demonstrate the camaraderie, to demonstrate the divine wisdom, and to rise to the occasion in a way that we do recognize what we so cherish and value in one another, and realize how that strengthens the unity and strengthens the bonds, and to have a grander respect. This year has brought forth so much that has given each of us a ability to really, understand what we've been given and who we are individually, let alone what we can do together and what we've done together, for ourselves and our own soul expansion, but for those that we meet, and that for those that we cross paths with. We are
those who you trinitize.
Right. Yeah. And we get vocalization from our community members. We get reflections that just put me in a state of complete awe. And, we're just being who we are. We're just the way we are. And it gives me chills to be in full receptivity of that, and to be in full acknowledgement of that. But the bottom line is we're all designed to do this.
Yeah.
And it's just,
the being thing, it's like, you think about it, like, if we look past pre-awakening, it's like, who am I? Let me tell you who I am, or tell me who you are. And now it's people are there's enough work been done for a lot of people. Certainly it's reflective of what is happening, on the collective level, but just being themselves and not thinking twice about it. That's a very subtle thing from our human experience prior, but it's a very, very powerful thing. And I love the way you explain that, sum that up, Carlotta. It's one thing to embody this sacred wisdom at an individual level. And there's a lot to be said for that. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, because that's what it's all about. But I think what you're describing to me, or at least maybe you're allowing me now to verbalize what I couldn't, which is to actually experience the embodiment in a physical mirror, in co-creation, and actually see that happening, because no longer it's being reciprocated.
there you go. Yeah.
That's what's happening.
It's being reciprocated, and it's also being witnessed, not only by ourselves, but others. And that takes it to a whole nother level. Right?
That's probably the number one thing that I express is the most important now, is stop talking the talk. Like we're at a point where it's you're being it or you're not.
Yeah.
So there's no need for labels. There's no need to be I am this or I am that or I do this. Every single moment you're out and about in public, or whether it's with people that you're not even communicating with, you are a walking example of the earth, of where we're going. If you're not doing the talk just isn't getting it done. Yeah. So you are a role model for those to look up to, because there are people watching you. When you're emanating a powerful light, they're drawn to you.
Yeah.
So whether you're making a selection in the grocery store, whether you're at the gym doing something, anywhere, be consciously aware of your actions, your words, everything, because you are a role model of the new.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. No more talk the talk. And it's not even walk the talk. It's walk the walk. You know?
We are being. And so when we claim what we are being with beautiful integrity and it's consistent, then that will create that spectrum, and we'll recognize one another on that spectrum, which is why I've been a moth to a flame to you and Morgan and to the Soulology family that has been expanding like crazy, because I've been waiting my entire life wondering if I was ever going to witness this, feeling it inside, knowing it inside, being craving for it to be manifested on the physical level. And it happened this year like none other, God. And to go back to, you have to be who you are. You have to be true to who you are and not be persuaded by the outer world to be anything but what your pure authenticity is. Because think about it, Todd, if that wasn't the case for you, I mean, you wouldn't be where you are today if you didn't go through that washing of yourself over and over again to find out what is really you. And you've manifested this amazing state of unity and a platform for people to see one another and to feel one another and to commune with one another on the level that we really need to at this point.
Wow, you've come a long way. You're not tired you're not shy of speaking anymore. You sound great. Thank you. I know the first time I talked to you, you're like, I don't want to do this, but
I've had to come out of my shell.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the female incarnates are doing that. And that's been going on for a while, Morgan called it before the end of last year. She said it'll be the year you'll see a lot of divine unions pop up, and you're going to see a lot of feminine stepping into their power and stepping up. It's happened so many times. Have you guys had any experiences of conscious triads where you connect with somebody at an energetic level, whether it's in the physical or not, or, but the physical, I would think, being the more impactful. We've had quite a few of these for quite some time, but have y'all had any experience like that?
What would you think?
I would say definitely more for me, because I'm more active in that. I'm more active, a little bit more active socially.
Yeah.
And so the conscious triads like me and Louie, and Enrique. So yeah, or Ysum. So some of the people that were more or less duos have now blossomed, or the duos have now created a mission that becomes the triad, the Trinity. Yeah. And that has been accelerating this year. I've done a lot of group coaching and I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching, but what I'm seeing now is the ripple effect and those people getting themselves to the next level to where they are now they're producing on their life's dreams. They're literally finding the key people in their worlds that would activate those futures for them.
It's like there's a soul pheromone. It's taken. Hey, I wanted to say this too. These two pieces back here, this one here, which is my favorite, and then this one here, you see them? These are Carlotta's. She gifted those to Soulology. We're filling this wall up with artwork, and these were the first two that we got. And I know that we don't spend a lot of time on this program marketing, but your stuff is really, really powerful and awesome and unique and original. So I just wanted to put a plug in there for you. What is the name of your website? Where can they find those art pieces?
The website's called The Light Body Lifestyle, and the galleries that I have, online galleries, are there. Steve is also an incredible artist, and so we spend a lot of our time creating. We've been doing that a lot this year. Originally, when I moved on the islands, I wanted a small footprint, and I didn't necessarily want to invest in all of the physical materials to do what we actually have done now. So we're producing a lot more physical pieces, and yeah, it's one of our passions, and the way we recognize ourselves on a soul level, because when we're creating, we don't know what it's going to be. I don't ever have an agenda of, oh, I'm going to make this.
Yeah.
It's a process of just starting, and then it just happens. And then I know it comes to a point where it's like, oh, you're done. Like it speaks and says, ta-da. So yeah, thank you so much. And again,
thank you.
You guys know I'm anything that I have on those platforms, I'm happy to share with you guys, absolutely, and gift it for any of your marketing. Anything that I can do for you guys.
I know we're going to connect and co-create and collaborate. When we started talking about that a few weeks ago, that's about when everything started to go into slow motion. Yeah. Now it's like in suspended animation, but I know it'll pick up. This is Morgan's been saying it. This is an important time to be integrating. I mean, it's yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the final what part of the gestation period? I don't know how to put it, but if we look at the cyclical nature of the energies as they correspond to, what we call linear time or the calendar, the same things seem to be coming up at the same time every year. And, I remember very clearly going back to 2017, what was happening at the end of the year. And as we got into January, just huge, just absolutely huge. I feel like there's going to be a whole lot of stuff go down in the next 30 days. And I'm not a prognosticator, but I can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're very much in that space too. And if I could say anything, I would just say, express yourself authentically. Allow that to be. Bring that to the surface.
Yeah.
Sit. Yeah.
Right on.
And don't be in the fear state. I mean, we got to realize that everything that is collapsing right now, it needed to.
Yeah.
Don't hang on to it, because something better is going to replace it. When there's a death, there's a rebirth.
There you go. Yeah. And such is the cycle of life, cycle of perfection.
Yeah, and there's a lot to celebrate. Us emerging as soul beings out loud, having these types of conversations and letting that become the new norm. It's allowing us to recognize each other as we walk through our daily lives on the street, and have a higher level of reverence and a higher level of knowing that there are beautiful things right in front of us all the time. We just need to allow ourselves to see more of the beauty.
There you go.
Within and, with one another.
Right on. Well, I look forward to doing this again after the first of the year. You guys are beacons of light, and I appreciate what y'all do, and I appreciate your love and support.
You as well, brother. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, give that beautiful bride a squeeze for me. And
I will. Do I get to choose where I get to squeeze her?
Absolutely.
Okay. If I get in trouble, I'm going to have her call you.
It's an intuitive squeeze. It's all you.
That's right. That's right. Love you guys. I'll see you. Peace out. Thank you so much.